So not that long ago, I had done a response to Z Crew. It was the first official response in 2.5 years, give or take, basically since the peace contract between our two groups was agreed upon. To simplify that contract, Deckground Records can't mention or talk to Z Crew and vice versa. Z Crew can't mention or talk to Deckground Records. Plain and simple. Or you think so, except they broke it within 24 hours. 2.5 years later, I made that response video. And there's really 3 reasons why I made that response video. The first reason, and the most obvious reason, is during that 2.5 years, Z Crew had repeatedly done death threats, threat of assault, and defamation, not only to me, not only to my record label members, but also my family. The second reason is because they were begging me to do it. Basically, at the beginning, they were just straight up telling me to hurry up, respond to them and all that, call me a bitch and all that shit. Just trying to bait me into freaking responding back to them. And when it was clear as day to them that I wouldn't even bother wasting my time with them, they started changing their tactics by getting worse and worse with what they're doing, and also by making new accounts, like just fake accounts, so that they can hit me up, pretend to be somebody else, and hopefully bait me into it that way. They had done that literally a week prior to me making that official response video, and literally a couple days prior. The third reason is because I tried getting this thing handled behind the scenes by talking to Wade and having him deal with it, because he is the quote-unquote leader, and Wade hasn't done shit. It is honestly very annoying because I don't want to make this thing public. I didn't want to make it public at all, and I was kind of forced into making it public. And then I created that response video. That response video had 3 main purposes. The first purpose was to get the truth out there, get what really happened between Z Crew and I to the public. This was very important because all what the public knew at the time is whatever Z Crew was saying, and trust me when I say this, we all know this, Z Crew was not being factual at all about the situation. They were trying to paint themselves as innocent saints, and that I was just some insane, crazy guy that attacked them for no reason. And they bravely fought me off and won. But as you guys now know, that is the furthest from reality. And the reason why they're doing this is because if the truth ever got out, they would have been screwed. So if they can paint this narrative that I'm just crazy, some asshole, or a liar, that whenever I actually say the truth on what actually happened, it will be negated. And as you guys can tell, that plan was just straight out stupid. It would have never worked for a multitude of reasons. The first reason is who you're doing it to. If you were doing it to No Ox, it probably could have worked because he does not think before he do, he just reacts and prays that it works because he's slow. But sadly, you were doing it to me, a guy that thinks about the situation, plots the situation, then execute to get what he wants. Another reason why it was destined to fail was because you guys don't move as a unit. You guys don't move and operate as a team. You guys move like a bunch of solo players that just calls themselves a team. And because you guys do that and it's just a bunch of half-baked plans cooked up by each member, you guys were just destined to fail and look like idiots. From inconsistent stories to story flippings and contradicting your own statements that you made earlier, sometimes literally within the same video, you guys were just destined to fail and fail hard. If you ask any one of the Z Crew members to retell what happened, or just simply go online and watch any one of their videos on the story, you will realize real quick that none of the stories match, either within the members or just the original telling to the most recent retelling. There is no consistency at all. And the reason why there is no consistency is because they took out so much of the original events that makes them look bad and put in so much fake stuff that wasn't fully thought out and honestly does not make sense at all, that it no longer resembles what actually happened. But on the contrary, what about me? Whenever I retold the story, it's always the same, it's always consistent. And please keep in mind, I mostly talked about it prior to the peace contract being created and agreed upon. Very, very rarely afterwards. And the reason why I did spoke about it afterwards, it was to the new recruits in Deckground Records, because Z Crew had a history of going after new Deckground Record members and try to steal Deathground Records resources for themselves so they can get numbers. So basically I have to explain why these people are blacklisted and why we don't work with them. A good example of this would be Yarrow. They had approached Yarrow because they know that Yarrow's part of Deathground Records and started doing a bunch of songs with him. And I only caught on that this was happening because Yarrow was complaining to me about his Master Splinter rap because everything was just taking so long to get done. And he started listing off the people and then he listed off Wait. And that's when I told Yarrow what happened between me and Z Crew and why these people are blacklisted. But you also gotta understand that I didn't make Yarrow just throw Wait off the freaking track or just never release the song. That song's still released with Wait on it. I just basically said get all the songs that they were on done and then that's it. You don't ever work with them again. And that is pretty fair. That's way more better than what a lot of people would expect. A lot of people will just expect, hey, don't ever work with these people, get rid of them or whatever. No, I let them finish the song and that's it. But let's get back to consistency and why I was always consistent. And the reason why is because I have nothing to hide, while on the contrary, Z Crew has everything to hide. That's why this story matters so much to them, while on the contrary, it does not matter much at all to me. Because if I'd done something wrong, I would admit to it. And I would go into detail why it was wrong. But Z Crew, because they're so ashamed, they will hide those events and just put in fake shit so that they can look good and feel good about themselves. That is why I am always consistent with the story while they're not. But the final reason why it would have failed to begin with is because they don't know how to communicate while I do. I was their promoter. I know how to sell stuff. I know how to properly talk to people and relay a message. They don't, because I was their promoter. Have you ever wondered why they're not selling? Not because I'm the subject matter, but because they don't know how to sell that product. I know how to sell, I know how to talk, I know how to communicate to people. They don't. And because they don't know how to communicate with people, they don't go in with a structure or anything that's actually planned. They just go in half-ass it, and then basically because they're going off a adrenaline rush because they're talking about the situation, they're talking about me, constantly thinking, hey, this is the video that XP's gonna respond to us on, this is it, we're gonna get the numbers, we're gonna get the views, we're gonna be able to sell and make money. They go and they ramble on and on and on. And what happens when you ramble on is that you reveal information that you don't want to reveal. And that led to them contradicting what they're saying.
A good example of this would be the video I technically officially responded to. And that is Massman's Beamcast that features Keyshawn. Now, Beamcast is a podcast that Massman made, which is a knockoff of my podcast, Random Talks. Now, the reason why he, did that, why he made that knockoff is because he saw that Random Talks was extremely successful and he wanted the views that I had for himself. But in this video, Massman and Keyshawn were talking about me for an hour and a half. And because they did not came in with a proper plan and a proper structure, they went on and just ramble on and on, slowly leaking the truth by accident. So basically, he was making contradictory statements within the same video that he made the original statements. So a good example will be the fact that Massman was claiming that he never talked shit about me on a live stream or behind my back to people privately, claiming that I was just lying about it and all that, and that I'm just trying to reach for problems and just whatever. Later on in the exact same video, Massman and Keyshawn were laughing and bragging about the fact that they were talking shit about me on live streams and behind my back to people privately, contradicting their own statement that they made earlier on in that same video. And that's why it was so important to get my side out. Not only that, but also because nobody actually do the homework. They just hear what they hear and just believe it automatically. They don't double check the facts. So it's just very hard and all that, just having random people go up and just call me this, that, and that because Z Crew has said this, that, and that to them about me, even though none of those statements are true at all. Second reason for that response video is to basically expose what these people are really like. When people go online, they usually create a persona because they don't like themselves. So they create what they consider a ideal version of themselves and present that online so that hopefully people will like them or that version of them. And basically what they were doing is they were going around pretending to be gangsters, saying that they will kill people or they'll beat people up and that they make money and all that they get the views. But in reality is, none of those are factual statements. They're not gonna go beat you up or shoot you. They're not gangsters and they're not making any money. They're just lying to your face so that they can hopefully get popular and famous. I exposed the truth that they're actually broke, and I also revealed other things that a lot of people wouldn't have known. For example, Masked Man fucks animals. He got fired from a job because he was touching the animals sexually. I also revealed the fact that Mr. Mistake tried to threaten me with an airsoft gun, a pink airsoft gun that still had the orange tip at the end of it. But these are the quote-unquote gangsters that they're trying to present themselves to the world. But these are what these people are really like. The third purpose of that response video, and probably the most important purpose of the video, was to expose their actions. Now, please keep this in mind. They were doing all this to me because they thought they can get away. They thought they won't have any consequences because they live in the United States while I live in Canada. So they thought, oh, they can just give me death threats or just lie about me and I wouldn't be able to do anything because I'm all the way over there while they're all the way over here. So I brought their actions to light and they're not happy about it. I exposed these actions and now they're paying the consequences for it. The overall consensus of that video was overwhelmingly positive. I received a lot of love and support and also a lot of concern because a lot of people did not know I went through all of that while I was working with these people, and I was still dealing with that to this day, despite the fact I hadn't contacted them or done anything with them in like 2.5 years. I made it clear in that video, I do not want to continue this. I don't want this beef or anything. It's done. It's been over. And Z Crew was not happy about this because this was not the response they were expecting or wanted. They thought I would have been just like, screaming at them, telling them to fuck off, call them bitches and all that. Basically like what they would have done if they were in my position. But because I was calm, I told what happened. Did I add some shots here and there? Yes, obviously I would have. But basically it was not what they were expecting. They were expecting me to announce some diss tracks and all that I will end their career. Basically just be childish. But I made it clear in that video that I didn't want to continue this or anything. It was a one and done thing. I did not want to be for anything. I was just getting my side of things out there. The problem is that Z Crew operates like a bunch of headless chickens. They don't move like a unit. I said this earlier and they definitely proved it. And what they ended up doing was proving all my statements to be 100% factual, and they displayed it all publicly. What I mean is that Z Crew was basically proving my statements to be 100% correct by doing them publicly in front of the public eye. For an example of a statement that I said that they were proving to be correct is that they were clout chasing off my name for many, many years, despite the fact that I haven't spoken to them in many years. The second that response video dropped, they dropped 2 albums. Masked Man dropped an album, No Ox dropped an album. And right before I even made that response video, Keyshawn dropped a project as well, hoping that I will respond to it and just start dissing him and all that, hoping that I will bite. The problem for them is that I didn't take the bait. And they quickly realized that it wasn't going to actually happen when they actually saw the video. So they got desperate because they know that their shit is going to flop again, and they don't want to flop because that's a lot of numbers that they're going to be missing out on. And they ended up proving my second statement, which was that they were threatening to kill me, assault me, and not only that, to my record label members and my family. They ended up proving that. And what they did was they went into my DMs and started threatening, trying to force me to freaking respond to them with some diss tracks. And that shit was all shown to everyone publicly. They basically just publicly put themselves in the dirt. But then Masked Man ran around improving another statement that I made within the video, and that is that Masked Man goes around and lies about me very often. How Masked Man proved this was that he ran around lying about the situation, saying that I was threatening to sue or press charges on Z Crew, but in reality, I never made that statement at all. I never made it within the video, and I never said it to him directly. Why I never said it to him? Because he has me blocked. So he literally pulled it out of his ass. And if you take 5 seconds to think about it, you'll realize how stupid the statement that Masked Man made was. And the reason being is because I'm in Canada, he's in the United States. So for me to sue him or press charges on him, or the group in general, would be extremely difficult and not worth it. Literally, I would not make anything out of it if I was able to do it because they have no money, making the whole entire thing stupid and pointless. And then their leader Wade was trying to do damage control, and that was a huge mistake on their end. And what I mean is, Wade proceeded to, deny all my claims, which is, obviously what you would have done. But the problem was that he did it unprofessionally. He goes around saying I was lying, but then he proceeds to insult me. He was saying that I respected him, but he does not respect me back. That was a big, huge mistake. He should have kept it professional, but honestly, the best thing he could have done was just nothing at all. If his group has done nothing at all, and just stayed quiet, didn't drop anything, literally did not threaten me or anything, that would have been their best move because it would have just blown past, everything would have went right back to normal for them and they could have easily continued what they're doing. But the problem is that they didn't do that. Wade went around and tried to say that I was lying and that whatever I was saying was not true, but his members were going around proving my statements to be correct, making Wade look like a huge liar. But there is one more reason why I did that response video, and that is to prove that these people are hypocrites. And the reason why I wanted to prove that they were hypocrites is because throughout the beef, they always tried to point the finger at me saying it was my fault and all that, but literally all I've done was responses. And if you actually look at the responses, you'll realize real quick, I have done the response in the exact same format that they have made the video on me. So for example, Keyshawn will drop a diss track, I'll drop a diss track back. Plain and simple. If they talked about me on a video, let's say a podcast format, I would do the exact same thing back. They will turn a blind eye when they do it, but the second I did it back to them, it's automatically my fault. I was the one causing the problems. So I decided to basically play them like the fools they are. I played them like fiddles. I knew exactly what would happen. I knew they were going to be doing all this shit. So I played them the fucking instruments they are. And they played a wonderful tune of Hypocrisy. They were so predictable, it's not even funny. And that's because I actually knew these people. I know how they act. I studied these people because I used to view them as friends. I used to view these people as friends. That's what a lot of people forget. But it's funny how I know so much about them, but yet they barely know anything about me, even though we know each other for the exact same amount of time. They all completely failed in the end because of what I said earlier. They run around like a bunch of headless chickens. They don't operate as a team, except just a bunch of solo players that call themselves a team. I then proceed to make the second response video, which just to clear up the statement that Masked Man made, that I was threatening to sue or press charges on them. And then I literally went into detail on why that is stupid and why I never even said that to begin with, just basically making them look like the retards they are. I also broke down some stuff that was happening during the time that I literally just went over with you guys within this video. That video was also well received, and basically that was the end of it on my end. They proceeded to keep on dropping stuff in hopes that I will bite and attempt to go at them in a rap war, thinking that it will work, because they have no other plans. They don't know how to literally take 5 seconds out to think. Literally not that long ago, 2 days ago, Keyshawn dropped a new diss track on me. Yeah, they're still trying to pull this shit. Masked Man dropped another EP, another project. they're all still trying to capitalize off of this, and it's not working in their favor. They have no clue what to do or anything, and it's not working well for them. Wade was basically begging me and telling the members that he does not want any beef, does not want any problems, and the reason why he was saying this is because it's no longer just Z Crew versus me. It's not a freaking 5 or 6 v1.
It's now going to be a Z Crew versus Deck Ground Records. You guys gotta understand is that it's not just Deck Ground Records they're going up against. Because Deck Ground Records has expanded and grown so much, we own so many sub-labels. So they now have to worry about Hell Criminals, Blood Moon, Phantom Records, Venomous Fates, and Kedik. Yes, Kedik is actually a label, not a person like they thought. If you had done at least 5 seconds of homework, you guys would have known that. But sadly, you guys thrown out a half-baked product thinking it was a fatality, but ended up being a harakiri. And there's many more labels they gotta worry about. We moved on, we expanded, we continued to grow. They remained in the exact same place they were 2.5 years ago. And what place was that? Evil. They always talk and think about me. I'm on their mind 24/7. They never were able to leave and freaking move on and grow and expanded. That's why Wade knows this is going to be a complete slaughter. They know they have no chance. They couldn't even beat me, a single person, and they had a full ass team. They had a full ass team and they couldn't beat a single person. What the fuck do you think they can do against an army?
Now they have no chance. It's a straight out massacre. So they're trying to say, oh, we don't want this, we don't want the beef, let's end it. But then they had no problems releasing more diss tracks on me and just continuing the thing, proving their statements to be 100% untrue.